My name is James, and I always believed that loyalty was the cornerstone of a marriage. When I married Olivia 10 years ago, I thought we'd built something unshakable. A partnership rooted in trust, love, and mutual respect. At least that's what I thought. Looking back now, I realize how naive I was. Olivia's betrayal wasn't subtle. It wasn't the quiet, furtive kind of affair where guilt keeps everything hidden in the shadows. No, she flaunted it in my face. At first I thought I was imagining things, the lingering touches she gave to her colleague Ethan at parties, the way she'd laugh a little too hard at his jokes and how her phone seemed permanently glued to her hand, her lips curling into secretive smiles as she tapped away. But the truth hit me like a freight train one evening at a dinner party we hosted for her office. Olivia couldn't keep her hands off Ethan. She leaned into him, whispering things I wasn't privy to. The way her eyes sparkled when she looked at him, a sparkle that had been absent when she looked at me for years, left no room for doubt. Ethan looked smug, as though he enjoyed knowing I saw everything. I'm not a confrontational man by nature. I've always believed in dignity and restraint, but that night I sat quietly at the head of the table, my knuckles whitening as I gripped my glass. Every whispered comment, every stolen glance, every brush of her hand against his arm ignited a fire in me that I didn't know existed. They thought they were untouchable. They thought I would never fight back. They were wrong. I decided then and there that I wouldn't confront her in the heat of the moment. I wouldn't beg, cry, or make a scene. No, if Olivia wanted to humiliate me in my own home, I'd make sure she paid for it in a way she'd never forget. I planned to turn her carefully curated world upside down with one bold move. The first thing I did was hire a private investigator. It took only a week to confirm what I already knew. Olivia and Ethan had been seeing each other for months, meeting at upscale hotels and, disturbingly, even in the back seat of my own car. The investigator provided photos, timestamps, and detailed logs. It was damning. While gathering evidence, I kept up appearances. I smiled, kissed her goodnight, and played the dutiful husband while quietly setting my plan in motion. Olivia had always been proud of her image, the perfect wife, the successful career woman, the social butterfly. Her reputation was her Achilles heel, and I intended to exploit it. I started by visiting a lawyer, not just any lawyer, but the best divorce attorney in town. He was notorious for his cutthroat tactics and an uncanny ability to leave opposing parties in shambles. We crafted a strategy that would leave Olivia's reputation and her bank account in tatters. Next, I made an appointment with our financial advisor. Unbeknownst to Olivia, I had been the primary earner throughout our marriage, and almost all of our assets were in my name. With my advisor's help, I moved liquid assets into accounts she couldn't touch and secured our joint investments in my favor. By the time she realized what was happening, it would be too late. Finally, I planned the piece de resistance, a public unveiling of her betrayal. I didn't just want revenge, I wanted everyone to know the truth. Olivia loved hosting grand events. Our 10-year wedding anniversary was coming up, and she insisted on throwing an extravagant party to celebrate. The irony wasn't lost on me. She was throwing a party to honor a marriage she'd already destroyed. I played along, feigning enthusiasm as she planned the guest list, chose the decor, and fussed over the menu. I even suggested inviting Ethan, knowing she'd jump at the chance to have him there. The night of the party arrived, and our home was filled with friends, family, and Olivia's colleagues. She was radiant, wearing a sleek black dress that hugged her figure. She floated around the room, basking in the compliments and attention. Ethan was there too, his smug grin firmly in place as he chatted with a group of co-workers. I waited until the party was in full swing before making my move. I tapped my glass to get everyone's attention, standing in the center of the room with a microphone in hand. "Thank you all for coming tonight to celebrate our 10-year anniversary," I began. "It means the world to me to have all of you here as we mark this milestone." Olivia beamed at me from across the room, clearly enjoying the spotlight. I took a deep breath and continued. "Marriage is built on trust, love, and fidelity," I said, letting the words hang in the air. "But sometimes people forget what those words mean. Sometimes they think they can have their cake and eat it too." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Olivia's smile faltered, and her eyes darted nervously around the room. "Over the past few months," I said, "I've had the unfortunate task of learning just how fragile trust can be, and tonight I think it's time to set the record straight." I turned to the screen I'd set up earlier. With a click of a button, photos and videos appeared. Olivia and Ethan leaving hotels hand in hand, kissing in the backseat of my car, text message exchanges filled with declarations of love and plans to rid themselves of me. The room fell into stunned silence. Olivia's face turned ashen. Ethan's cocky grin vanished. Gasps and whispers filled the air as the guests absorbed the evidence of their betrayal. "This is the woman I've been married to for 10 years, I said, my voice steady despite the pounding of my heart, "and this is the man she chose over her husband. To those of you who thought they could humiliate me, think again." The party ended in chaos. Olivia tried to follow me upstairs, sobbing and begging for forgiveness, but I slammed the door in her face. Ethan, on the other hand, slinked out of the house like a rat abandoning a sinking ship. Over the next few weeks, the fallout was brutal. Olivia's carefully constructed reputation crumbled. Word of her affair spread like wildfire through her social circles and workplace. She was forced to resign from her job to avoid the humiliation of facing her colleagues every day. Our divorce proceedings were swift and merciless. Thanks to the airtight prenup and the legal maneuvers I'd made, Olivia walked away with almost nothing. The house, the savings, and the investments all stayed with me. Ethan, predictably, disappeared from her life as soon as things got tough. He had no interest in being with a woman who no longer had the power and status that had attracted him in the first place. Olivia was left alone, ostracized, and broke. It's been a year since that fateful night, and I've rebuilt my life. I sold the house, too many memories, and moved to a new city. I've thrown myself into my career and hobbies, rediscovering the passions I'd put on hold for my marriage. As for Olivia, I've heard bits and pieces. She's working a mediocre job and living in a small apartment. Her social circle has dwindled, and she's no longer the star of the show. Do I regret what I did? Not for a second. Olivia flaunted her betrayal in my face, thinking I'd be too weak to fight back. She underestimated me. By the time I was done, she had nothing left to flaunt. Revenge may not undo the pain of betrayal, but it has a way of leveling the playing field. And for the first time in years, I feel like I'm standing on solid ground.